Have you ever seen rats dance? I mean really dance. In this amazing story from Ghana, AnansiTheSpider stumbles upon a secret gathering of dancing rats. And what happens next is truly magical. Join us for a vibrant celebration of music, movement, and the unlikely friendship that blossoms between a trickster and his tiny dance partners. The harmattan winds whispered secrets through the tall grasses of the Ghanaian savannah, carrying tales of Anansi, the clever spider. He was a creature of wit and mischief, his 8 legs carrying him through the world in search of adventure, and perhaps a little bit of trouble. The villagers knew him well, some with fondness, others with a wary eye. For Anansi was a trickster, his mind as quick as his spinning silk, always weaving plans and schemes. One sun-drenched afternoon, as the vibrant colors of the market faded into the golden hues of late afternoon, Anansi found himself wandering the outskirts of the village. The rhythmic beat of drums echoed softly from the depths of the forest, a sound that piqued his curiosity. He followed the pulsing rhythm, his 8 eyes gleaming with anticipation, wondering what delights the forest held. The drumming grew louder, accompanied by the rustling of leaves and the soft padding of tiny feet. Anansi crept closer, peering through the dense foliage. What he saw made his 8 hearts skip a beat. A clearing opened before him, bathed in the dappled light of the setting sun. And there, in the center of the clearing, a group of rats danced with joyous abandon. They moved with surprising grace, their tiny bodies swaying and twirling in time with the drums. Anansi had never seen anything quite like it. He watched, mesmerized, as they leaped and spun, their tails twitching in perfect rhythm. The sight filled him with an unexpected delight, a yearning to join in the joyous celebration. Anansi, despite his reputation, couldn't resist the urge to join the dance. He stepped out of the shadows, his presence immediately silencing the rhythmic revelry. The rats, startled by his sudden appearance, huddled together, their eyes wide with apprehension. They knew Anansi's reputation. His tricks were legendary, and they were wary of his intentions. "Greetings, little dancers," Anansi called out, his voice smooth and honeyed. "Your dance is truly magnificent. I've never seen such skill and enthusiasm. Would you allow an old spider to join your celebration?" He offered a polite bow, hoping to allay their fears. But the rats remained hesitant, their whiskers twitching nervously. The rats whispered amongst themselves, their tiny voices barely audible. "It's Anansi," squeaked one. "He's a trickster," squeaked another. "We can't trust him," added a third. They remembered the stories of Anansi's cunning, his ability to weave words as skillfully as he wove his webs. They feared he might be trying to trick them, to lure them into some elaborate scheme. Their leader, a wise old rat with a long grey whisker, stepped forward. "Anansi," he said cautiously, "we appreciate your compliments, but we know your reputation. You are known for your tricks, and we are wary of your intentions. Why do you wish to join our dance?" Anansi, sensing their apprehension, put on his most sincere face. "My dear rats," he said, his voice filled with earnestness, "I assure you I mean no harm. I'm simply a lover of dance, and your performance has truly captivated me. I promise to behave myself. I will not play any tricks. I simply wish to share in your joy and learn from your impressive skills." He even offered to teach them some new dance steps he had learned from the birds and the butterflies. The rats, intrigued by the offer, exchanged hesitant glances. Could they trust Anansi? Was he truly sincere? The lure of learning new dances was tempting, but the fear of his trickery lingered. The rats, after much deliberation, decided to give Anansi a chance. The lure of new dance steps, combined with Anansi's seemingly sincere promise, proved too tempting to resist. "All right, Anansi," the old rat said, "we will allow you to join us. But remember your promise. Any trickery, and you will be banished from our clearing forever." Anansi, his 8 hearts filled with delight, bowed low. "You have my word," he said. "I will not betray your trust." He was genuinely excited to join their dance, to experience the joy and freedom of movement. He had always been a solitary creature, his tricks and schemes his only companions. The warmth and camaraderie of the rats Dance was something he had never experienced before. The drums began to beat again, their rhythm now infused with a sense of anticipation. Anansi, despite his 8 legs, moved with surprising agility. He had watched the rats closely, observing their movements, and he quickly adapted to their style. He twirled and swayed, his body flowing with the music, his 8 legs a blur of motion. The rats, initially hesitant, began to relax and enjoy themselves. Anansi, true to his word, refrained from any trickery. He focused solely on the dance, immersing himself in the rhythm and the shared joy. He even began to teach them some new steps, intricate movements he had learned from watching the weaver birds create their elaborate nests. The clearing filled with laughter and the rhythmic thumping of tiny feet. Anansi and the rats danced together, their movements a symphony of joy and harmony. Anansi, for the first time in a long time, felt a sense of belonging. He was no longer the solitary trickster, but a part of this vibrant community of dancers. The sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple. The dance continued, fueled by the rhythm of the drums and the shared joy of movement. Anansi, despite his initial intentions, found himself genuinely enjoying the company of the rats. He had discovered a new side of himself, a side that craved connection and belonging. As the moon rose, casting its silvery light over the clearing, the dance began to wind down. The rats, tired but happy, gathered together for a shared meal. They offered Anansi some roasted nuts and berries, delicacies that he had never tasted before. Anansi, touched by their generosity, thanked them profusely. He had expected to be treated with suspicion, but instead he had been welcomed as a friend. He realized that the rats, despite their initial hesitation, were genuinely kind and generous creatures. As the night deepened, Anansi prepared to leave. He thanked the rats once again for their hospitality and promised to visit them again soon. The rats, in turn, invited him to join their dance whenever he wished. A tentative friendship had blossomed between the trickster spider and the wary rats, a bond forged through shared joy and mutual respect. Anansi left the clearing with a lighter heart than he had arrived. He had discovered that true joy could be found not in trickery and schemes, but in connection and community. He still had his mischievous side, but he now understood the value of friendship and the importance of keeping his promises. News of Anansi's newfound friendship with the rats spread through the village like wildfire. Some villagers were surprised, others skeptical. Kofi, the village storyteller, decided to commemorate this unusual alliance with a new song played on the talking drum. The drum's rhythmic language echoed through the village, telling the tale of the trickster spider who found joy in the dance of the rats. Anansi, hearing the drum's message, felt a warmth spread through his 8 hearts. He realized that his connection with the rats was more than just a fleeting encounter. It was becoming a part of the village's folklore. One day, a terrible drought struck the land. The river dried up and the crops withered. The villagers were desperate, and whispers of blame began to circulate. Some accused Anansi, claiming his tricks had angered the gods. The rats, however, defended him, remembering his promise and the joy he had brought to their dances. Anansi, though hurt by the accusations, understood the villagers' fear. He knew he had to do something to prove his good intentions and solidify the trust the rats had placed in him. Anansi decided to embark on a quest to find the source of the drought and bring water back to the village. He consulted with the village elders, who told him of a hidden spring guarded by a fearsome serpent in the deepest part of the forest. The journey was perilous, but Anansi was determined to prove his worth. He bid farewell to the rats, promising to return with water for their parched land. The rats, though worried for his safety, believed in him. They knew that Anansi, despite his trickster past, had a good heart. Anansi's journey took him through treacherous terrain, across thorny bushes and over rocky hills. Finally, he reached the serpent's lair, a dark and ominous cave. The air was thick with the smell of damp earth and the serpent's musky scent. Anansi, despite his fear, pressed on, determined to face the challenge. He found the serpent coiled around the spring, its scales shimmering like emeralds in the dim light. The serpent was a creature of immense power, its eyes glowing with ancient wisdom. Anansi knew he couldn't defeat the serpent with strength. He had to use his cunning. He challenged the serpent to a riddle contest, wagering the spring's water against his own life. The serpent, confident in its wisdom, accepted the challenge. Anansi posed riddles that tested the serpent's knowledge of the world, its understanding of nature, and its sense of humor. The serpent, though wise, found itself stumped by Anansi's clever questions. Finally, Anansi posed a riddle that the serpent couldn't answer. Defeated, the serpent reluctantly agreed to let Anansi have the spring's water. Anansi, true to his word, did not harm the serpent. He simply thanked it for the challenge and filled his gourds with the life-giving water. He then raced back to the village, his heart filled with hope. He knew that the water would save the crops and restore the villagers' faith in him. Anansi arrived back in the village, exhausted but triumphant. He poured the water from his gourds into the dry riverbed, and slowly, miraculously, the river began to flow again. The villagers cheered, their faces filled with relief and gratitude. They realized that Anansi, despite his past, had truly changed. He had proven his loyalty and his willingness to help the community. The villagers held a grand celebration to thank Anansi and to celebrate the return of the water. They danced and sang, their voices filled with joy. Anansi joined the celebration, dancing with the rats and the villagers, feeling a sense of belonging he had never experienced before. The drought had been a test, not just for Anansi, but for the entire village. It had taught them the importance of trust, forgiveness, and the power of community. Inspired by the celebration, Anansi decided to give the rats a special gift. He gathered the most skilled musicians in the village and commissioned them to create a set of miniature drums, perfectly sized for the rats' tiny paws. He also taught them some simple melodies on the mbira, a thumb piano, so they could create their own music. The rats were overjoyed with their new instruments. They practiced diligently, their tiny paws tapping out intricate rhythms and melodies. Soon, the clearing echoed with the joyous sounds of rat music, a unique blend of traditional Ghanaian rhythms and the rats' own playful style. The rats' musical talents grew, and they formed a magnificent orchestra. They composed songs about their adventures with Anansi, about the drought, and about the joy of dancing. Their music became a sensation, attracting animals from all over the forest. Even the shy forest creatures, who usually avoided Anansi, were drawn to the enchanting melodies. They realized that Anansi had truly changed, and they began to see him not as a trickster, but as a friend and a patron of the arts. Anansi, inspired by the rats' musical success, decided to open a dance academy for all the creatures of the forest. He taught them the traditional dances of Ghana, as well as new steps he had learned from his travels. He even incorporated some of the rats' unique moves into his lessons. The dance academy became a place of joy and learning, where animals of all shapes and sizes could come together to celebrate the art of movement. Anansi, once known for his tricks, was now revered as a master of dance and a teacher of harmony. Anansi, wanting to honor the rats and their contribution to the village's culture, decided to weave a special kente cloth. He used vibrant colors and intricate patterns to tell the story of his friendship with the rats, the drought, and the return of the water. He incorporated symbols of music and dance, celebrating their shared passion. The kente cloth became a symbol of unity and friendship, a testament to the transformative power of art and community. It was displayed proudly in the village center, a reminder of the bond between Anansi and the rats. Anansi and the rats, along with some of the villagers, embarked on a journey to the coast. They wanted to share their music and dance with the people of the coastal villages. The journey was long and challenging, but they were filled with excitement and anticipation. They traveled by foot and by canoe, crossing rivers and climbing mountains. Along the way, they encountered various challenges and met new friends. They shared stories, songs, and dances, spreading joy and harmony wherever they went. When they reached the coast, they were greeted with open arms. The coastal villagers were eager to hear the rats' music and see Anansi's dances. a grand festival was held, celebrating the unique blend of inland and coastal cultures. The Rats Orchestra played their enchanting melodies, and Anansi and the villagers performed their vibrant dances. The festival was a huge success, bringing together people from different communities and celebrating the power of art to connect and unite. Despite their success, Anansi never forgot his past. He remembered the times when he had used his cunning for selfish purposes. He realized that his transformation was not just about changing his actions, but also about changing his heart. He learned humility, understanding that true wisdom comes from serving others and using one's gifts for the greater good. He shared his story with the villagers and the rats, reminding them that everyone is capable of change and that forgiveness is an essential part of building a strong community. As time passed, a new generation of dancers emerged in the village. Anansi, now an elder, passed on his knowledge and skills to the young people. He taught them not only the steps of the dances, but also the stories and traditions behind them. He encouraged them to create their own dances, to express their own unique voices through movement. The Rats, too, trained a new generation of musicians. Their orchestra grew, incorporating new instruments and new musical styles. They continued to compose songs about their adventures with Anansi, keeping his story alive for generations to come. Anansi's legacy lived on, not just in the dances and the music, but also in the hearts of the villagers and the rats. He was remembered not as a trickster, but as a teacher, a friend, and a symbol of transformation. His story became a part of the village's folklore, a reminder that even the most mischievous among us can find redemption and purpose through community, creativity, and acts of kindness. Every year, the village held a grand dance celebration, commemorating Anansi's arrival and his friendship with the rats. Dancers from all over the region came to participate, showcasing their skills and celebrating the power of dance to unite and inspire. The Rats Orchestra provided the music, their melodies echoing through the village, filling the air with joy and rhythm. One day, as the sun began to set, Anansi gathered the villagers and the rats. He told them that his time had come to journey to the land of his ancestors. He thanked them for their friendship and their love, and he reminded them to always cherish the power of dance, music, and community. He then performed one final dance, a dance that embodied all the joy, wisdom, and love he had shared with them. As he danced, his body seemed to glow with an ethereal light, and then, as the music reached its crescendo, he vanished, leaving behind only the echo of his laughter and the memory of his kindness. Though Anansi was gone, his spirit lived on in the rhythm of the drums, in the melodies of the Rats Orchestra, and in the hearts of the villagers. His story continued to be told, passed down from generation to generation, a testament to the transformative power of friendship, forgiveness, and the enduring magic of dance. The clearing in the forest, where Anansi and the rats first danced together, became a sacred place, a reminder of the bond between humans and animals, and a symbol of the enduring power of community. The rhythm of their dance continued, a heartbeat of joy echoing through the heart of Ghana. Anansi and the rats taught us the power of friendship and the importance of kindness. Who is your best friend, and what makes your friendship special? Share your stories in the comments. For more heartwarming tales like this one, subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell. We can't wait to share more adventures with you. Love you all.